The United States, acting through Congress, number one, recognizes the special legal and political relationship the Indian tribes have with the United States and the solemn covenant with the land that we share. Number two, commends and honors the Native peoples for the thousands of years that they have stewarded and protected this land. Thirdly, acknowledges years of official depredations, ill-conceived policies, and the breaking of covenants by the United States government regarding Indian tribes. Fourthly, apologizes on behalf of the people of the United States to all Native peoples for the many instances of violence, maltreatment, and neglect inflicted on Native peoples by citizens of the United States. Number five, expresses its regret for the ramifications of former offenses and its commitment to build on the positive relationships of the past and present to move toward a brighter future where all the people of this land live reconciled as brothers and sisters and harmoniously steward and protect this land together. And number six, urges the President of the United States to acknowledge the offenses of the United States against Indian tribes in the history of the U.S. in order to bring healing to this land by providing a proper foundation for reconciliation between the U.S. and Indian tribes. And lastly, commends the state governments that have begun reconciliation efforts with recognized Indian tribes located in their boundaries and encourages all state governments similarly to work toward reconciling relationships with Indian tribes within their boundaries.
And so what was your thoughts or your response to the apology that you read?
Well, I was surprised there was even one. You know, I'm in Native American education, and I teach Native American culture in the schools and in to civic organizations, and that's the first I've ever seen of it. So my initial response is, I didn't even know one existed.
My initial response to it was, actually not knowing about it, but then being made aware of it and then reading it. The language of it to me was really good as far as addressing, different things that needed to be dealt with. Like just the heart behind the apology seemed really good, as far as, just wanting to make things right, like the heart, like it was there to do that. So that really did actually make me happy as a Native person to be able to see that kind of language from the government, to Native people. So that part of it really, really touched me. Yeah. I feel like for there to be a continued better relationship between, Native people and the United States government again, I think it would be much better if the apology was more public. That's the one thing I did feel was sort of a negative about it, was that it wasn't well known until I was actually made aware of it. I never even heard about it. So I feel like if it was more on a national level, like on a larger scale, to where nations, each of the Native nations were made aware of it, and even something more national to me would be more of a appropriate response for that, to where leaders were invited, tribal leaders were invited, chair people, leaders of each nation were invited to some sort of event to where this could be made a public thing, before the whole country. So I feel like that would be real necessary to continue to have that relationship be reconciled between Native people and United States government. But I feel like the heart there to start that is happening, but I feel like the whole not being widely known can also be a negative and maybe even cause a little more hurt at the same time.
So this is a definite improvement in the direction of reconciliation, of allowing the indigenous people of North America to find a healing for the depredations that occurred in the past. It definitely skirts around the issue of sovereignty, of Indian nation sovereignty, and I think that's what some Native people will want to see, and it's not there.
We're happy like we are, and the traditionalists, I feel, want one thing, and they want to be left alone.
You know, we had a bad past with the government, but my people, we don't hate. My people, we don't hate. Even if we had enemies, we still prayed for them. So I'm like that, I can't hate. I've been taught to pray for people that hate me.
If the federal government is setting an example for taking responsibility for what's been done and moving toward improving that, I would like to see that attitude carried throughout the citizenship.
Both my parents was Choctaw, and the reason we're in Tennessee is because back in 1950, my parents government relocate Indian people to a different state. So my parents was a farmer, so they choose to Tennessee. So we end up in Tennessee. And if this is things, whoever's doing this apology, he needs to forgiveness, whatever, their feelings are. They're feeling guilty, and if the apologies is gonna clear that up, and it might be and it might not be, I don't know.
Well, I think that this apology would show our youth that there is a chance for reconciliation, and that the government's idea of assimilation is farthest from what we want. We want our children to remain within our culture and to pass that culture on to their children. And for years and years, our children were told to keep quiet, about who they were, because it might cause them harm. Well, I believe that time is over, and I think it's time for the United States of America and for the world to see the beauty of our culture through our children.
If I could get the chance to just sit down with a bunch of people, I would love that, to just tell them, hey, it's not just the past. That's the past. It's today that we don't have enough, resources, and I would like to see more care. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see, money. I don't want tangible things thrown at me. I don't want, a free job or something because of the Native Preference Act. I'd like to see my family taken care of on a reservation and not just, giving back to the people who are off reservations. That's the biggest thing that I would ask for, is if I could sit down with somebody and just talk about what we need today and what people could need in the future, and see what could help them. What's the reason why they're dropping out of high school? Maybe helping them get through just different problems, basic problems in life.
I think it's good. I think it's a start to rebuilding relationships between the government and the First Nations people. I don't think it's enough. My grandma told me a long time ago the story of when they actually had to walk to get to the reservations, and they killed the people first and then made them walk in between them in the cold winter time. So I don't think it's enough. I honestly don't. I think our government can do better at respecting our people and not putting so many guidelines and restrictions on them when they are trying to actually rebuild and do things to actually help our people.
I just want to acknowledge, I'm thankful for that, that you guys are actually trying to apologize to Native Americans, but I'm still disappointed in this apology. This is supposed to be public, it's supposed to be nationwide, and I honestly think, this is not good enough. You say it's public, but I believe it's not, because you look at CNN, oh my God, like 2 people died on this, bridge accident, that can make nationwide news. But this, I never really heard about this nationwide apology up until a couple of weeks ago. I'm thinking, America could do a whole lot better than that, because if you could honestly publicly go out, back in the 1700s, 1600s, those were the days where the American government could go out publicly and massacre a whole entire village, in the name of dominance, of American dominance. And if you guys could do that publicly, I honestly think you could do a whole lot more of a public apology for that, because, I'm just all my life I was growing up an Alaska Native, I was very proud to be American. And then when I took a class here in high school and learned about the true American history of Native Americans, that really sickened me. That made me really disappointed to be American. I felt no American pride. I honestly looked at the American flag a whole lot differently growing up. And so I honestly think, if there's gonna be a real apology, it needs to come from the president, it needs to come from the Senate, it needs to come from the Congress, and stuff just really needs to be more public,
feel pretty aggravated that it's so hard to find it, and the fact that it came out over 3 years ago and I just now found out about it. So it's kind of aggravating that. And then today when we tried to find it, it took us over 20-30 minutes to find it, and we had a lawyer sitting there with us. So it's aggravating the way that they work it out, do everything. It's good that they finally apologized, but it's not enough. The way that it's worded, it's, yeah, we did this. There's nothing that you can do about it, nothing we can do about it. So just forgive us already. That's the way it sounds. Yeah.
For them to bury it in all these legislations and I feel like it's sort of them apologizing, but saying it behind closed doors. We're sorry we did it, but they don't need to know it, you know.
The apology makes me feel very unsure about if this is directed towards me as an individual because of all the atrocities against my whole ancestry. I understand that it's supposed to be now forgiven and all the atrocities. I am willing to do this.